Have welcome to another rendition of Just My Opinion podcast. It's your host with the most, your host and moderator. I'm Krista Don One. We got a lot of things to talk about in Just My Opinion podcast. First and foremost, I'm going to upload live streams every Saturday, same bat channel, same bat time. Just My Opinion podcast. Just got through doing a podcast on my other channel. I'm Chris Don One. Too early for this podcast, which, by the way, it's going to start premiering on Saturdays. So every Saturday morning, you get the best of both worlds. I'm Chris Don One. Go to that YouTube channel. You can check out Too Early for This podcast, as well as this channel, Just My Opinion podcast live stream. We're about to get into it. A lot of topics to talk about. We're going to be doing a recap on the NBA playoffs thus far. NBA playoffs is fantastic. All right? Okay. So, as always, rate, comment, subscribe, share this content with your friends, family, and followers. Get this podcast, this YouTube channel in the YouTube algorithm by sharing it, recommending it. And guys, the comment section is your guys' domain. It's your baby. So if you want the comment section lit, comment among yourselves, good, bad, or whatever. Whatever I talk about, if you want to comment about what I said wrong, what I said right, it's all good in the hood. All right. So let's get into a recap of the NBA playoffs thus far. And I'll be honest with you guys, the NBA playoffs has not disappointed me, not one iota. None of the matchups have not disappointed me. Okay. I am thrilled and excited to be a part watching all the festivities of each and every last one of these playoffs. All right. There have not been a dull playoff or a playoff moment. So I'm pretty sure the numbers, the ratings are electrifying. I feel like they're up there because you got the good, the bad, and the ugly with all of these playoff matchups. So I'm only going to talk about the ones that I'm more concerned about, even though I have watched all of them. I suggest you guys go invest in NBA League Pass. You get you get a lot of playoff games on NBA League Pass. If you got cable or satellite, uh, or our streaming service app may have this, like TNT is a good place, a good source to watch some of the playoff games. ESPN, Fox Sports One, whatever. And, if you can't watch the playoffs, you can always listen to the playoffs by Sirius XM. So there's many ways to get your feel for these playoffs. And I feel like you should watch every last one of them because every last one of them have been exciting thus far. So the first playoffs matchup I want to talk about is the Los Angeles Lakers and the Memphis Grizzlies. That has been a matchup that has not disappointed, not one iota. If you look at the Los Angeles Lakers, they're outside their prime. I think if you look at what the Lakers management has done thus far during the trade deadline, they have, they have gotten a lot of players that fit and match perfectly with LeBron James and Anthony Davis. I feel like LeBron James and Anthony Davis have been included in yo. Okay, I don't know what happened there, but we're still in. I don't know what's going on with my. Let's make sure that hold up. Yeah, we'll just turn that off. How's that? Okay. I had another device on, so I don't know why that interfered with my internet. But anywho, so yeah, if you look at Los Angeles, they're like the aging dinosaur. However, if you look at what Lakers, what the Los Angeles Lakers have done, they went to the trade deadline and they got younger. They got better talent overall, and they got better pieces that fit LeBron James and Anthony Davis. And Anthony Davis and LeBron James have not missed a lot of games during the run to the playoffs, as well as just this playoff series. I do feel like there have been moments where LeBron James has been a little gassed, okay? Which, he's been in the league for like over 20 years. So, you have to expect that. And Anthony Davis, who normally is injury prone, so you have to expect that as well. So that's why the numbers are not really consistent between both of these players. Both of these players have up and down numbers. One game, they're electric. They play they play what they play like they're supposed to play. And in other games and in other moments they struggle. Due to LeBron James is older and Anthony Davis has been injury prone and really hasn't had time to build up his cardio, hasn't had time to really develop his body because he's been in and out of the hospital or doing surgeries or rehabbing or whatnot. Okay. But the others of the Los Angeles Lakers are really the shining points of the Los Angeles Lakers. All right. Now you're never going to have a box score where the others are outshining LeBron and Anthony Davis, but they're doing their part. They're doing the best that they can possibly do, depending on the matchups that they have to play against. Now, if you look on the other side of the fence, you look at the Memphis Grizzlies. The Memphis Grizzlies are a young and up and coming team. I feel like they hyped themselves up way too much. They already believe that they're a dynasty, even though they haven't won an NBA championship. They have not been in the Western Conference Finals. They have had moments where they knocked off the Golden State Warriors a time or two. They have knocked off the Los Angeles Lakers a time or two, the Denver Nuggets a time or two. But other than that, they haven't won anything significant to say that they've been a dynasty. All right. They have young and up and coming players that they have drafted. Shout out to Jerry West. He has done a phenomenal job with the Memphis Grizzlies as far as developing and drafting players. He's got the type of players that fit that roster. If you look at that coaching staff, the coaching staff has done a lot. And this team, there's two things about this team. This team is really deep when it's allowed to be deep. I think this team plays better without Ja Morant. Ja Morant has been out with a hand injury. A lot of people felt like the Lakers were going to sweep the Memphis Grizzlies. I'm one on the record that said that I feel like this is going to be a long and tough series for the Memphis Grizzlies. I think the struggle is real for the Memphis Grizzlies. For the Los Angeles Lakers and the Memphis Grizzlies. I'm sorry. I feel like this is going to be a long series. I don't think this is going to be a sweep either way. It would not surprise me if the Los Angeles Lakers win 2 games out of this series and the Memphis Grizzlies win. And it would not also surprise me if the Memphis Grizzlies take it to a game 6 or a game 7 if the Los Angeles Lakers win. Okay. I feel like the Memphis Grizzlies are a deeper team than the Los Angeles Lakers. I feel like they're a more talented team. They're a more younger team, but they just don't have a lot of experience, a lot of veteran leadership on the Memphis Grizzlies. When you look at the Los Angeles Lakers, I like the moves they made in acquiring a lot of young pieces that they got in the trade deadline. But if you compare those pieces to the pieces that are already established with the Memphis Grizzlies, I don't see a matchup where they can exploit any of their pieces to the Memphis Grizzlies. All right. Dillon Brooks is a yes. Dylan Brooks is a liability. I feel like you know, I feel like he's more of a Draymond Green, but a less talented Draymond Green. I think he's a decent defender. I don't think he's a great passer. He's not a great shooter. He's not a great rebounder. He's average or below average on any of those individual statistics. But at the end of the day, he's he's like an ointment. He irritates a lot of players, and I felt like he got the best of LeBron James. And why I say that he got the best of LeBron James? Let's talk about it. I felt like in game two where Memphis won, I think he got into LeBron James, and LeBron James had to comment back at him. I think LeBron James, to be perfectly honest with you guys, I feel like LeBron James went below what LeBron James is expected to do. I don't think LeBron James is a trash talker. I don't think LeBron James is I don't think his game requires him to do a lot of talking. I think he's a type of guy that shows what he can do instead of just go talk to talk with Dylan Brooks. I feel like that's beneath LeBron James. And even when yesterday, when they did the press conference, people started talking to him about Dylan Brooks, and he said he didn't want to be involved in that BS, and he walked out of the interview. So he's still sort of kind of upset from game two. I hope that doesn't carry over to game three. I think at the end of the day, LeBron James is going to be LeBron James. I think but I don't think we're going to get the same LeBron James that we saw when he played in Miami or the first or second time with the Cleveland Cavaliers. I think LeBron James is going to post his stats. He's going to post his numbers, but all those numbers and those stats are going to be significantly better to propel them to get a W against the Memphis Grizzlies, and I just don't see it. I really don't see it whatsoever. But this is going to be a great matchup. I don't think this is going to be a sweep from either team, Memphis or Los Angeles Lakers. It would not surprise me if this series go to a game 6, a game 7, maybe a game 5, possibly a game 5. But this is not going to be a sweep for either one. So I think it's going to be a great matchup. And we're going to have to wait and see what transpires from this matchup. If I had to place a bet on one team, I feel like eventually Ja Morant is going to make his presence known in this series. I don't think he's going to be on game 2. But if the Memphis Grizzlies win game 3, that you're putting a lot of pressure on the Los Angeles Lakers, because that's the second game without Ja Morant, without their star, and they beat you. If it's a close game, I feel like the Lakers feel like it's no big deal to them. They got the rest of the series to capitalize from game 3. But I feel like if this is a blowout, or if this game proves without a shadow of a doubt the Memphis Grizzlies are better than the Los Angeles Lakers, I think Los Angeles is going to go into the next game saying to themselves, okay, we gave them the best we can give them. We gave them all we got in game 2 and game 3, and they still got the W from us without Ja Morant. I think it's going to put a lot of pressure on the Lakers, and I feel like they're going to gravitate to what worked for them, which is individual stats. I feel like LeBron's going to just say, you know what, we lost the series. Let me put my regular stats up and I'm up out of here. Anthony Davis is going to also say, you know what, just let me get on the court, try my best attempt. And if we're already down, there's no need for me to push any further. I feel like at the end of the day, Game 3 is very important for the Los Angeles Lakers to win. But if you look at the Grizzlies, they're looking at it as we're waiting for Ja Morant. And Ja Morant is, as of right now, we're not sure if he's going to play in Game 3. It would not surprise me if he didn't play in Game 3, and we won't see him until Game 4 or Game 5. But the Memphis Grizzlies has already determined that they can win games without Ja Morant. They did it last season and this season. So we're just going to have to wait and see on that. Okay. So moving on from Memphis and the Lakers, I will give the nod to the Grizzlies winning this series and advancing and moving on. I feel like this is Memphis season to show to the world that they are a dynasty. But we'll wait and see. We'll wait and see. All right, moving on. We've got a lot of stuff to talk about. Sacramento and Golden State. I thought that this was going to be a great, and it is a great series for different reasons. Now, if you've been following my channel, particularly on I'm Chris Down One, when I used to do sports on that YouTube channel, I always talked about Sacramento and the pieces that they have and they've been drafting thus far. And I said, slowly but surely, Sacramento was going to be a very competitive team. And I was holding on to that theory for 4 years. Okay. For 4 straight years, even when I keep forgetting the guy's name, the white guy, Bill Walsh's son, when he was the coach of Sacramento. I had faith in Sacramento back then when Buddy Hield was with Sacramento. Okay. That's how deep I had for Sacramento. When Sacramento was drafting these players, I kept telling everybody, Sacramento's going to prove to y'all that they're a very competitive team. It would not surprise me not once that they make it to the playoffs and make a deep run in the playoffs. Now, it was 4 years in the making, but here we are. Sacramento is in the playoffs, and they shown the Golden State Warriors that they can beat them handedly. Now, last night's game, or night before game, it was a Tuesday night game. It was a Tuesday or Wednesday night game when Draymond got suspended. The others, as well as Steph Curry, pulled that game out, and Golden State won that game. And they did it without Jordan Poole blowing up, Wiggins or Clement has been stepping it up, and I think that was the better game of him. But Draymond Green was out that game. I felt like that was a huge moment for Sacramento. Golden State. Y'all gotta realize Golden State have very established players with playoffs experience. They have been there, done that. They have seen it all, did it all. Okay, they have played without Draymond Green in matchups in playoffs. Okay, they have played without their big three. Well, one of their big three numerous times last year, and just in Golden State history. All right. So I was the one on the fence. I was one that pretty much told everybody Draymond Green not being suspended was not going to be a big thing for the Golden State Warriors, because they have always played without somebody on their team. If it's not Draymond, it's Steph Curry. If not Steph Curry, it's Klay Thompson. Okay, so they have always had this luxury, if you want to call it a luxury, of playing without one of the big three. And this was no shock, no surprise to them. I didn't think Draymond Green's suspension was going to be, that was going to be the reason why Sacramento was going to win. I felt like if Sacramento was going to win, they have to go in with the same mindset they had in game 2. And they didn't. They didn't at all. So oh no, excuse me. The previous game. So Draymond Green didn't play that Tuesday or Wednesday night. Golden State won. Now Golden State is making it into a series. What does this mean moving on? So Draymond Green is going to be included. I think Draymond Green, when he comes back, he's going to be more cautious. He's going to be more familiar. He's going to know that Sacramento is going to try to irritate him to do something stupid yet again and get him disqualified, from the series. But I do feel like, this series is young enough. I mean, we're not even in games 5, 6, or 7. And we haven't seen Jordan Poole go off. We haven't seen Klay Thompson go off or have a moment. All right. So, and we just saw Steph Curry. All right. So can Steph Curry pull it off back to back? Probably not. But are the others are going to step up? Is Draymond not Draymond? Is Jordan Poole gonna step up? Is Klay Thompson gonna step up? So is Wiggins gonna have a night? So I feel like the series is too young to say Sacramento is going to win. If Sacramento is going to win, and I don't think from what I've seen thus far, those State Warriors are going to win. But if we have to pick one or the other, I'm banking on what I've been banking on for the past 4 years. And the Sacramento Kings has developed they have drafted very well. They have developed pretty well. I feel like this is Sacramento's year. I really do feel it. I feel like Mike Brown is going to get this team into the next round. I think this team is going to overcome when Poole has his pool party. I think they're gonna overcome Klay Thompson having a moment here and there during the playoff series. I don't think Klay Thompson is going to be like the old Klay Thompson where he's going to jack up 5 or 6 threes, and he's going to is going to lock down the best player on Sacramento. I think those days are behind him. But I feel like Sacramento is going to overcome Steph Curry having another night like that. Jordan Poole finally demonstrating that he can have a night like that. And Klay Thompson having moments here and there during the series. And you don't necessarily have to worry about Draymond Green because Draymond Green's going to be Draymond Green. I do feel like Wiggins can take over. There's a possibility where Wiggins can take over this series. Be a jack of all trades, sort of say, and a master of none. But at the end of the day, I think Sacramento's going to win this series. And that's my belief on Sacramento winning this series. I don't know how many games it's going to take, but I feel like this is going to be the year of Sacramento. It's boom or bust for Sacramento. And like I told you guys, I've been on Sacramento's tip, pause, for 4 consecutive years. I kept telling you guys, teams to look out for. And I've been looking out for the Sacramento Kings. I feel like I was the first person on the bandwagon that was telling you guys, look out for the Sacramento Kings. The Sacramento Kings are this is going to be their year. I feel like this is going to be their year. And I also feel like this is the year of the next ones, the next dynasty. I think the Lakers had their moment in the sun and they're past their prime. I feel like Golden State, they ended their run and their dynasty last year. But this is a young man's league. And if you look at the rules that are put in place, if you look at how the NBA is promoting the league, it's a young man's league. And the NBA is no longer catering to LeBron James, Steph Curry, and the Golden State Warriors and the Los Angeles Lakers. They're moving on to the next tier of teams, and now they're looking at the New York Knicks are possibly up and coming. The Cleveland Cavaliers are up and coming. The Boston Celtics are up and coming. The Sacramento Kings, the Memphis Grizzlies, they're up and coming. So this is a young man's league. And if you look at the rules, it benefits the younger team. All right. So, I feel like we're looking at a whole new era. So, but I do predict the Kings winning this series. At least I want to say that. Now, moving on. Let's talk about Boston and the Atlanta Hawks. And I feel like out of the three matchups I talked about, this is my least, but it's still kind of exciting. I feel like at the end of the day, the Boston Celtics are going to beat the Atlanta Hawks, and Atlanta Hawks going to have to do a lot of soul searching. All right. They're going to have to change the dynamic of that team. And I said this in free agency last summer. And I looked at all the moves Atlanta was doing to surround talent around Ice Trae. I felt like the way how they were shaping the Atlanta Hawks was not really beneficial to the Atlanta Hawks. I think it was too small of a team. Murray that they got from San Antonio has been average, but has not been worth what they purchased him for. They gave up a lot of draft picks to sign him, to get him away from San Antonio. I think they're too small. They got rid of a lot of their core players that were defenders, even though that they were shooting threes out the gym. And if you look at Ice Trae, there's a reason why the Dallas Mavericks skipped on him in the NBA draft, and they got Luka. And I remember Colin Cowherd saying this on his radio show, and I do co-sign what he's saying. You can't build a team around a smaller player. They're more fragile. They're more injury prone. And if you look at all of the titles and championships in NBA history, they were won by taller players, centers, forwards, taller guards. They have won titles with taller individuals than smaller individuals. Now there have been outliers, Isaiah Thomas, okay, have won a title with the Detroit Pistons, but it hasn't been a lot of players. So I feel like if you look at Atlanta, they are way too small. They really don't have any pieces no one else wants. DeMonte Murray, you could probably trade him in the offseason, but what are you going to get that's going to be a game changer for the Lakers, the Hawks, as far as them gravitating to the next round? So yeah, I just think his days are numbered. They traded away all the players that struggled playing alongside him. That didn't work. They got rid of the coach. That didn't work. So the only things left is to get rid of him. I think you could probably get, if you trade him, you're just saying that you're willing to rebuild. And DeJounte Murray is going to be in the same situation he was with San Antonio. He's going to be on another team that's rebuilding, and that's sad to say. After he just left the Spurs and got traded to the Hawks, and now the Hawks are rebuilding. So clearly, the Hawks really don't have anything draft pick wise or player wise that they can just par these picks and players for another big time player. They'll have to start all over again. Let's just face facts and face reality. They're not as good as Cleveland. Okay, so Cleveland, the New York Knicks, the Milwaukee Bucks. There's somebody that the Boston Celtics, the Philadelphia 76ers. They're not better than any of those 5 teams. And then when you look at the teams that are on the outside looking in, like the Miami Heat, in a series between them and the Miami Heat can beat the Atlanta Hawks. The Atlanta Hawks are not as good as the Miami Heat. So, I mean, you're looking at 7th or 8th, possibly the play-in tournament. And why go through all that when you're going to be bounced out in the first round? So, yeah, they're going to have to rebuild and start this thing over again. If you look at what if you look at the Orlando Magic, if you look at the Orlando Magic, if you're looking at even the Bulls, and the Bulls are struggling, but they have been injury prone. Who's to say Lonzo Ball comes back better than ever? All right. So at least the Bulls have some what ifs after this season is over with. Okay. Do the Hawks have that? I think they have enough talent to get the last playoff spot or play for the last playoff spot or the second to last playoff spot in the play-in tournament. But then after that, they're going to be bounced out every round of first out of every round. So they just don't have the talent. They don't have necessarily the pieces to take it to the next level. They just simply don't. All right. So, but moving on, and Brooklyn, which we're going to talk about Brooklyn in a few seconds. Is the Atlanta Hawks better than Brooklyn? Yes, the Atlanta Hawks have the better player, the better star player, and Ice Trae. But I feel like but Brooklyn has the better team. But they have everything in place except a star, a go-to. They don't have that person. And they traded away Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving. Okay. So let's talk about Brooklyn real fast. They started the season with Steve Nash, Kyrie Irving, and Kevin Durant, and Ben Simmons. And a lot of people thought that, they're going to the Eastern Conference Finals. They're going to definitely represent the East in the NBA Finals. I remember a lot of people talking about that. I did a video calling it The Last Dance, and it's on this very channel. And I told you guys, if it starts ugly real fast, real quick, it would not surprise me if they traded Kyrie Irving and Kevin Durant, and trade Ben Simmons after the season. And I said that. A lot of people looked at that video and said I didn't know what I was talking about, yada, yada, yada. And look what happened. They fired Steve Nash. And once they fired Steve Nash, they got rid of Kyrie Irving. They traded him to the Dallas Mavericks, which at that time, the Dallas Mavericks were 4th in the division. Ever since they incorporated Kyrie Irving, they went from 4th in the division to out of the playoffs. Now, that's not all on Kyrie Irving. So let's just not say Kyrie Irving was the cause of that. But they had to give up so much as far as draft picks and players go that that's what happened. They fell out. They also traded Kevin Durant to the team he wanted to go to, which was the Phoenix Suns. And the Brooklyn Nets got a bunch of draft picks for those two players, as well as players that can play right now. And those players got them to hold their league, establish their league to go into the playoffs. Unfortunately, they had to play against the Philadelphia 76ers. Now, if they would have kept Kyrie Irving and Kevin Durant, do y'all think that would have still been enough for them to beat the Philadelphia 76ers? They couldn't beat them last year. What makes you think they can beat them this year? What's so different about last year and this year? They pretty much had the same identical roster. But if you look at the Brooklyn Nets, the Brooklyn Nets, they're still sort of competitive, but they're like borderline 500. So with their own draft picks, the picks, their own draft picks, they're only going to get below or above 500 the ability to draft somebody. So that pick ain't going to be worth nothing. It's midway in the draft, possibly closer to the end of the draft. So that pick ain't going to give you nothing. But if you look at the picks that they got from the Dallas Mavericks, on the other hand, then that pick can be extraordinary. Now, I do feel like I think Dallas was able to keep the pick that they have right now for the up-and-coming NBA draft. I could be 100% wrong on that. But moving forward, after that pick, the rest of them belong to Brooklyn. So Brooklyn's going to get a great pick, a great opportunity, a great player earlier in the second round and even next year's draft, if it's not unprotected. Then if you look at what they got for Kevin Durant, they got some picks from Kevin Durant. Now, the Phoenix picks are, if they make it to the conference final, if they make it to the NBA finals, those picks ain't going to be worth a damn. But you can parlay those picks to a team that wants to trade down and get a top 10 or top 15 pick, which is pretty good for Brooklyn. So Brooklyn still, or they can just keep their picks and just pick where they are. And if Sean Marks is good as far as picking players and developing players, then it should be no problem. He did come from the San Antonio tree, so it would not surprise me none if he finds a diamond in the rough. But yeah, I mean, if you look at Brooklyn, they're in the playoffs, and they will get beat by the Philadelphia 76ers. They don't have a chance in hell to beat the Philadelphia 76ers. The Philadelphia 76ers are a better team than the Brooklyn Nets. Even if the Brooklyn Nets had Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving, the 76ers are still a better team than Brooklyn. They're going to get bounced out. And they're obviously looking at the future. And the future looks bright for Brooklyn. and I said this in a video. I made that video and it's uploaded on this channel. I call it The Last Dance for the Brooklyn Nets. And I told you guys, I said, if it gets ugly real fast and real quick, they're going to trade Kyrie Irving up out of there. Then they're going to trade Kevin Durant. And they're going to trade Ben Simmons next year, which I feel like they are. I feel like they are going to get Ben Simmons up out of there. Ben Simmons has not been performing. He's not been the same player that he was with the Philadelphia 76ers. I think his stock is falling, but I do feel like there are teams that that need an established player with checkerboard pass they can take a chance on to leapfrog the Phoenix Suns of the world, of the Sacramento Kings of the world, of the Boston Celtics of the world, of the Philadelphia 76ers of the world. And I feel like a lot of teams that were in the playoffs, they got bounced out of the playoffs, are going to kick the tires around for one Ben Simmons. So we're going to have to wait and see how that plays out. Moving on. Now, I was going to do a video about this, but you know what? First and foremost, let's talk about the other team that's been in the playoffs thus far. Great series between Cleveland and the New York Knicks. The New York Knicks won a game. I feel like if you look at both of these teams, and look, the New York Knicks wanted Murray, and they didn't get him, and he ended up going to Cleveland. Cleveland was willing to package a lot of picks just to get him out of Denver. And if you look at the matchup thus far between Cleveland and New York, it seems like New York did more from what they packed, what they got from trades and from draft picks. Then it seemed like the New York Knicks got more than what, since they didn't trade away everything to get Murray, than Cleveland did to trade to get Murray. And like I told you guys, he's that type of guy that can one night he can give you 40 to 50 to possibly almost 60 points. But then it's going to be a long week before he parlays another game like that. He's up and down. He's mostly down, then up. And that's why the New York Knicks didn't want to pay the freight to get him to New York. It just cost them way too much to do that. Okay. But I think that's a good matchup. I feel like the Nuggets and the Timberwolves, that's a sweep. I just don't see that going any further than 4 games. The Timberwolves got a lot of concerns on that roster, and it needs to be worked out this offseason. They got too many players that don't really necessarily fit with one another. And they're going to have to either get rid of those players that don't fit with the other players that you believe in, or just scrapping the whole thing like the Jazz did and see what you can get. Because right now they mortgage a lot of their draft picks. A whole lot of their on him. And he's not even contributing to them as far as winning. But the Nuggets. The Nuggets are going to win that series with the Timberwolves. So that's going to be a real sweep. Okay. Yeah. So moving on, let's talk about, and like I said, I'm only talking about the matchups that intrigue me more, that I watch more. I know the Heat are in, but I'm just not really into that matchup. I'm sorry, I'm just not. Okay. If it's the only game that's playing a certain night, I'll possibly get into it, but I'm just not into it. Yeah. So moving on from that, real fast, real quick, I want to talk about the possibility of James Harden going back to Houston. Now, the reason why I feel like James Harden is going back to Houston is because it's not working out well with him and the Philadelphia 76ers and Joel Embiid. Even though I feel like Joel and James Harden can make a great tandem, Maxey has really stepped up and fit perfectly with Joel. Then James Harden fits with Joel. I think Maxey fits perfectly with Joel as a talent. I think moving forward, the Philadelphia 76ers are in good hands if James Harden does leave and goes to Houston in the offseason. But it's just one of those things. It's one of those weird things that Joel fits. I mean, Joel and Maxey fits more better than James Harden does with Joel. Now, at the end of the day, I feel like there's a lot of people in management, particularly with the Philadelphia 76ers, that want James Harden to stay with the Philadelphia 76ers, but at a reduced role and at reduced money. I don't think Doc Rivers was a strong advocate for James Harden. I think on the outside looking in, I think Doc Rivers likes Maxey more than James Harden, because Maxey can do a lot of other things that James Harden simply just cannot do. And there be nights where when James Harden does James Harden, sometimes sometimes it doesn't fit with what Joel Embiid is doing or what the team is doing. Sometimes James Harden can be a ball hogger because he's trying to, dribble the air out the ball to try to make a play. So it would not surprise me none if it would not surprise me none if James Harden goes back to Houston. And if he does go back to Houston, if you look at the Houston Rockets and what they have done in the draft so far, it's very beneficial to them. They have been picking the right players, and I think that's a good thing. I think Houston is they just got rid of their coach. It would not surprise me none if, and I did a video on this, if Houston somehow, some way gets the former coach for the Boston Celtics, and I done had a brain lapse. I done had a brain fart on this Udoka. Ime Udoka, is that his name? I forgot. Anyway, he's been out of the league for so long, I forgot the man's name, but y'all know who I'm talking about. It would not surprise me none if somehow, some way, Houston and Boston orchestrate a trade. Ime Udoka trading him to Houston and letting Houston let him be the head coach over there. So now you got all those young heads that they done drafted, plus the possibility of James Harden going over there. If that happens, let's just say hypothetically, James Harden goes to Houston, I think they'll be a borderline 500 team. I think they'll be so talented where they won't be competing for getting a high pick in the NBA draft, but I feel like they're not going to be good enough to beat the other teams that's in the landscape. They're not going to be able to beat the Sacramento Kings. They're not going to be able to beat the Denver Nuggets. They're not going to be able to beat, with the Memphis Grizzlies. They'll have a hard time with the Golden State Warriors. Even though a lot of people feel like this is the last year for Draymond Green, even without Draymond Green, I feel like the Houston Rockets will have a hard time beating the Golden State Warriors, even the Los Angeles Lakers. But at the right circumstance, at the right matchup, there's a possibility that they could win a series with someone else. But I feel like they'll be good enough to be a very competitive team, but I don't think they're going to be good enough to not only make it into they'll probably make it in the play-in, but I don't see them winning any series after that. They'll be pretty much like what Atlanta's going through with the Hawks. The Atlanta Hawks are going through with Trae Young. Trae Young is a great, talented player, but at the end of the day, he can't carry that team on his back by himself. Clearly, they're going to need more talent, but in order to get more talent, you're going to have to trade something, players or picks, or sometimes both of them, to get another piece. And they just don't have enough pieces, and they don't have enough picks, and they don't have enough players for that to happen, which comes to my opinion that the Atlanta Hawks are going to be hustling backwards, and possibly they're probably going to have to trade Trae Young, and they're going to start this damn thing over again, because I just don't think there's not a situation out there that propels them to the upper echelon of NBA teams. They're still not going to be better than Philadelphia. They're not going to be better than the Milwaukee Bucks. They're not going to be any better than the Boston Celtics. So, and they don't have enough pieces, picks, or players to even get into that upper echelon. Plus, if you talk about the mid-tier teams, they're going to struggle with those teams as well, which next year they're going to find themselves in the same situation they find themselves right now, playing the number one seed and having no chance in hell, and you're out. All right, you've been in one series and you're out. So it does not surprise me none if the Atlanta Hawks trade away. If the Atlanta Hawks trade away Trae Young, I'm sorry, I'm getting distracted here. Trade away Trae Young and send him to another ball club, and the Atlanta Hawks are rebuilding. That's just my opinion. Okay. So yeah, that's pretty much it. Oh wait a minute, whoa. Back to sometimes when I'm talking, I miss the point that we were just talking about. Yeah, so James Harden going to Houston, they'll be a in between 500 team, and that's pretty much that on that topic. I do apologize. Sometimes I go from one conversation to another conversation. I don't finish the other conversation that I had 30 minutes ago. All right. So that's pretty much it. I hope everyone thoroughly enjoyed this podcast. I hope I talk to you guys. News to note, I will be doing live streams every Saturday around this time. So get at your boy. I'm also still going to be doing videos during the week, but my live streams will be on Saturday, as well as Too Early for This Podcast. That's on my primary channel. I'm Chris Down One. I'm moving Too Early for This Podcast on Saturday mornings, and I'm moving Just My Opinion podcast on Saturday morning. So I'm gonna go back to back on 2 different channels. Rate, comment, subscribe. As always, I really appreciate everyone coming in. Just to let you guys know, the comment section is your domain. Talk among yourselves. Get the conversation active. Talk about what I did right, what I said wrong, what you think, what someone else may think. The conversation is your guys' domain. So if you guys want the conversation active and lit, it's up to you guys to do that. I might heart one, I might like one, and I'll just keep it pushing. Without further ado, I'm up out of here. I will see you guys bright and early next Saturday morning. Be on the lookout for some videos along the way next week. I will see you guys when I see you guys. I'm up out of here. Deuces, guys. I really appreciate everyone coming in. Deuces.